Good evening, my local drones, as I Bio Gundam, and I'm back again for another video. So today, me and John Luke are going to be doing a discussion about the anime slash light novel of Classroom the Elite. So, John Luke, introduce yourself.
Hello, people. Drone, yet again. I'm back. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So, today's topic. Now, when it comes to Classroom of the Elite, I do know that there is a second year novel series coming out. That's already out in English. We're not going to be like covering that. We're mostly just going to be talking about what the anime has covered, and what the light novel has covered up so far, as far as like the first year content is concerned. We're probably not going to like cover everything exactly. We're just going to have like a general discussion about like Classroom the Elite and why you should watch it or read it, because I mean, I personally think it's kind of like an interesting series. I mean, when I first heard about it, it didn't really like interest me too much, and then like I heard some people talking about it, and I decided to like check it out, and I was like I gave it like the 3 volume rule, 3 to 4 volume rule, and I was actually quite I was actually like quite hooked, to say the least. So John Luke, what was kind of your experience getting into like Classroom the Elite?
My experience was starting with the anime. I think I watched the entirety of the first season, and then I started reading the light novel because uh, people told me that the light novel was a bit more in depth. So found the story from the anime super interesting,
Yeah, I would
but
agree with
found that it
that.
kind
Like
of
yeah,
was lacking a bit of depth.
yeah. I think the anime does a good job of like getting the basics down, but if you want some of the depth that the novel, like, then you're gonna have to read the novel, right? Because like your interpretations on certain characters may depend on like context that's like in the novel. Especially with the main character like Anakoji is a
Yeah, and
very
I'll
interesting,
get
who's
back
a
to it
very
later.
who is a very interesting main character, which we will go into shortly. Um, but
Yeah, and
continue.
there's a lot to say with the adaptation. Like there's a lot of choice they made that some I'm super okay with and other not so much.
Yeah, I think me and you are gonna have a discussion about that. So, just to preface the audience, what is Classroom the Elite about? John Luke, like, what's the basic like pitch here?
So the pitch is our main character, Kiyotaka Ayano Koji, enrolls into like a super high-end high school that's situated in man-made island next to Tokyo. It's called the Advanced Nurturing High School, and it's basically a place where they want to nurture the future elite of their society. So everyone that is enrolled into that school have like a really high chance of getting into college and employment. And
Yeah,
I know
this is
Koji ends
like
up in the class D. So the regroupment of every problem child within like his the batch for the first year.
yeah.
And like basically it's the concept of that school is that every month the school award the student 100,000 yen, which is roughly a bit over 1,000 US dollar.
Which is quite a lot of money
So
for a high school student.
yeah, it's a lot of money, and everyone is super like overjoyed by what the school is offering them. So a lot of them are fooling around, like buying super expensive stuff, and eventually they find out 1 month later. Well, for Class D, because some of the other class were a bit smarter. They kind of saw what was going on, and Class D never did. So basically, they kind of find out to their detriment that if they want that $1 million in their pocket every month, well, they would need to act like model citizens in a society. Otherwise, like every time they skip a class, every time they have a bad grade, it affects their own rating and their class point as well. And the more class point they have, the more they will gain every month. So without knowing, a lot of them, like, they just went bankrupt for the first month. So they're starting really, really low. And there's a kind of clash and competition between all of the classes.
Yeah,
because
it's kind of like a more serious version of like Bucker and Test.
yeah, because once you're in a class, you're not locked into it. So if everyone works hard enough and accumulate enough class point, they can move from class D to C to B to A. And if they graduate after their 30 years in class A, well, they have an 100% insurance that they will be able to go to college and find the most prominent employment once they graduate. So
I think what's interesting about like the thing with the school, right, is that the school's always testing them. Like that first test, I mean, what was the lesson there? It was to teach them financial responsibility and stuff like that. If you really think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can say it's a bit cruel or a bit ruthless, but like, you know, this is a school where, you know, meritocracy, right? There is no room for weakness. You know, they're going to separate the wheat from the chaff. What I like about that lesson and the few other lessons we'll be talking about, right, is what are they teaching those students? They're teaching about financial responsibility, about maturity. Like, they are being tested, and most of them were found wanting. And I think it's a valuable lesson for like people to learn, and also like for the audience to learn, right? It's just like, you know, just because you have a bunch of money, just don't spend it nilly-willy, because eventually it's going to all be gone. Like, you know, I think that's a good lesson for people to learn, you know, because I think a lot of people nowadays don't really learn that lesson.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just a lesson. If you look at the entirety of like the first year, and we'll talk about like another concept later that Ayana Koji is related to, but if you look at the school, it's kind of a social experiment that they're doing there. And it's basically because in society, you're not really taught the rule of anything. So you just need to go with the flow and learn about, like you said, like being able to manage a budget, manage your finance and everything. And it's not something we teach you in school. And that school
I mean, if you're lucky, if you're lucky, you'll have family members. Like, for example, I was quite lucky because, like, you know, my nana's quite the penny pincher. And one of my family members, like, quite a few of my family members worked in banking and finance. So, you know, I was, you know, taught I was taught, like, fairly young how to be responsible and, like, be responsible with your money, stuff like that. But, you know, a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I'm too fortunate to have parents that gave me that education pretty early, but I know a lot of people that didn't have that chance. So yeah, that's cool. It's pretty much letting them do whatever they want without necessarily telling them what is the consequence of their act. And they find out like the harder way what their these consequences are.
Yeah, I mean, the school is almost like the school's almost like the academic version of the school of hard knocks. If you think about it, it's like, yeah, we're gonna let you do whatever the fuck you want, but there's gonna be some consequences. It's like, yeah, you can eat all that junk food, but you know, you're gonna be unhealthy and you're gonna do like really bad, like, you know, your physical exams and shit like that. So like, yeah, you can do what you want, but like, there's gonna be some consequences. And you know, next month ticks around. Well, there's your consequences, and the teacher's gonna be like, are you guys gonna do that again? They're like, nope. Yeah, I mean, the school is almost like the academic version of the school of hard knocks.
Yeah, and also there's another concept that I find super interesting is basically if you look just at the first year, because they're the main focus and we have like very few information on the other year when they're in first year. So basically, if you look at every of the four class represent a different style of government, because you have class A that is basically led by two leaders, and each leaders they're kind of fighting for the control of their class, but it's not like they're using force or violence. It's really true, like not diplomatic, but like popularity contest or
it's
stuff
almost
like that.
It's almost like the Republic, right? Like you have these two powers that balance each other out. Like it's almost like a miniature version of a Republic, except there's not a third guy there. But it's kind of like that. Like you got these two great powers that kind of balance each other out. Like not a single one get supremacy. You know, like guy one gets some of his stuff too, guy two gets some of his stuff too, but ultimately they can't get everything they want because the other guy balances them out. Like it's almost like a mini republic in a way.
Yeah, in a way, that's exactly it. And like, if you look after that to Class B is kind of a really left kind of type of governing. So
It's very like
basically
liberal and democratic. Like it's a lot
yeah,
more like group based.
yeah, like the leader Ichinose, she basically does not want to abandon anyone. She does not want anyone to go into any hardship. So like the kind of perfect world where everyone
it's
is
kind of
nice
like
to everyone.
it's almost like a tribal, like they're almost like a tribal society, right? Like you know, you fuck with one of them, you fuck with all of them, kind of stuff. And it's like as it's kind of like as individuals they're kind of like weak, but as like a team they're kind of strong, right? You know.
Yeah, but like eventually, like especially in the third season, you see that this model, like at first it seems like the best one, but eventually it kind of fall off for different reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it's not like there's one model that is better than the other.
Well, it also depends on
It's
like the
more,
circumstances as well. Like it depends on the
yeah,
circumstances. I mean, people develop these political institutions because of the circumstances they're surrounded with. I mean, like let's take like Rome for example. I mean, you can kind of see why they became an empire in the first place, right? Because they're surrounded by like hostile powers, right? Like the shades of Brennus, like cast a shade, like the shadows of Brennus cast a shade on them. And it's like, oh yeah, like, you know, it's like, you can see why it became the way it is, or why, like, China became, like, very authoritarian, right? Because of, like, you know, Huangdi, right? You got all these, like, multiple principalities, and, you know, you need a tried and tested, you know, man of steel to rein the shit in. Like, yeah, it really depends on, like, the circumstances, and, like, you know, and that's kind of what I like about the thing, right? It kind of shows you the strengths and weaknesses of these systems. I mean, let's take, like, Class C, for example. I mean, it's like an authoritarian dictatorship, right? You've got, like, you know, the Chad King. You got like Mr. Chad Thundercock here, and he rules it like an authoritarian dictatorship, right? Like he has him in his clique, and you know everyone else is a bottom bitch.
yeah, like it's definitely a dictatorship. Like Ryuen is, well, he changed along the way, but at the beginning he's really dictator. There's no other word to describe
he's
him.
Caesar for life.
And
I was half imagining like at the end he was gonna get like assassinated, like a bunch of people grab like knives and shit like that. He's wearing a toga, and he's like, "You too, Anakoji," and he's like, "Lol," as he walks out. You know, that should be the thumbnail for this video. Actually, like it's just the Roman Senate, and it's like I just replaced like the dragon dude with like Julius Caesar, and like Anakoji's just singing in the background, like walking away.
that would be great. But yeah, and Class D is basically a kind of anarchic. Nah, I wouldn't call it an anarchic society.
It's not like there isn't like a leader. I think it's like more like I wouldn't say like libertarian, but it's definitely like
Yeah.
a leaning. Like I would say like anarchic or libertarian leaning. Like no one's officially in charge. It's kind of like, oh, these couple of people, oh, they got some good ideas. We follow them. Like it's less about like I'm in charge. I'm Chad or Stacy Thundercock or whatever. It's like, oh, these people have good ideas. These guys are likable. Let's have them in charge. Like it's a lot more like lax. I'll be back in a second. I gotta use the bathroom. So, but keep talking.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, so for Class D, I mean, everyone in Class D are kind of I wouldn't say the weakest link. It's more like they are a bit unbalanced. Like one of the guys, though, like he's super good athletically, but he's kind of not that great academically. Whereas if you look at other students from like Class A, Class B, they seem like super balanced, and especially Class A, they're not super genius, but like they are on the higher end of the academics, and they perform well in other spheres as well. Whereas in Class D, like you have a few persons that are super good in academic, a few that are super good in athletic, and you have like all of these different sphere that they don't really connect over. And at the beginning, like, yeah, there's no leadership. So, like, there's a lot of bickering. And also, there's the other interesting thing is about the teachers. Like, the teachers are also doing whatever they want. And from what we have as information, it also seems like they do have a stake into the fact that their class may or may not change into the higher class. Like, but if we look at Class D, their teacher, basically she on purpose doesn't give them any information at all. So,
And I think for the reason for that, and I think the reason why Class D is the way it is that a lot of the people in that class are like very individualistic, right? If you think about it, like most of the people in that class are, I'm going to use the analogy of like chiefs and followers. Like a lot of those people are like chiefs, and there's not many followers in that class. And
yeah,
for Class D, I think it's like I think Class D is like it's all for the misfits, but I also think it's for the most like individualistic as well. Because I think
you really put the finger on it. Yeah, they're basically a bunch of individualists. So with the right direction, like you see they'll go far, but they just need someone to step up and lead.
What I think what Class D is like Class D is like a natural like kind of like because in every social group you're gonna have a hierarchy. It's just not stated, right? Like even in like like say like an office situation, you have a hierarchy of your manager, your assistant manager, and blah 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 blah, right? In every social group there is also going to be like an unofficial hierarchy, right? There's always going to be a guy who's top dog, right? And I don't mean like top dog and like he's lording over everyone. He's just like, oh, this is the guy everyone relies on. This is the guy everyone listens to. This is the guy who's trustworthy. And I think that's what Class D is. They're a bunch of individualistic people. And I think like as a group they're kind of weak, but like individually they're really strong. They just need someone to like tard wrangle them. And I think that's like their best strength. Like they're kind of like the opposite of like Class B. Like Class B as a group are strong, but the individuals in it are actually like quite weak, like comparatively speaking, right? Like you break one link in the chain, and Class B falls apart like dominoes. But with like Class D, you break one link in the chain, they'll still keep trucking.
Yeah, that there's actually an example in season 3 that they kind of remove a chain and it still works super perfectly. And basically Class B just go into a lot of trouble just to not break any chain at all, and it kind of weakened them as a class instead of getting them like making them stronger.
Yeah, because I remember correctly, like
all of
Class
the other
D, because I remember in Class D they had to get rid of one of their own, and they had to get rid of this weak link, and it's like it was kind of painful, but they had to do it, and as a class they became like stronger. Because it's like, I mean, I know it's going to sound cruel and unfair, right? But, like, this dude is quite... I think this dude was actually, like, betraying the class anyway. Like, he was kind of, like, holding them back.
Yeah.
So he kind of deserves it.
Well, yeah, because he basically, it's... let me see if I can find back his name.
I got the... I did bring up the wiki page. I think it's... Is it this, let me see, is it this, it might be, I know it's one of the idiot trio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have the wiki up, so if you want to, like, take a look for some of the characters. Like, there's a massive fucking cast. Like, there's so much shit going on, I mean.
Okay, let's see, where is he?
Is it, Haruki? I think it might be this guy. I think it might be Haruki. Yeah, I think it's him. I think it's this dude.
Where? I don't see him.
Yeah, let me just link it. I'll link it right now.
Okay, there you go. Haruyuki, is it? I don't. Oh yeah, it is. Okay, because I had like the picture of the novel, and he's really different in the anime.
Yeah,
so,
this guy's the traitor.
Okay.
Yeah, this dude.
Yeah. And basically, what happens is that he kind of upset one of the leader of Class A, Sasayanagi. So or Sakayanagi? Yeah, Sakayanagi. So he kind of just is rude to her, and since she's like a super genius, she kind of
fucks him over hard.
See him as like she kind of see him as a super idiot, so she kind of want to get back to him. So what she does is she kind of give the impression that she wants to go out with him, and since like he's a super idiot, he just falls for it, and eventually she kind of lead him to gather Class D to get rid of Ayana Koji, the main character. But at the end of the day, there's this like special test where each class needs to vote for one of their own to expel from the school, and another one of their own to give him protection for future expelling. And
yeah, if I remember correctly, I think
class,
if I remember correctly, I think Class B, each of the students voted for themselves, so it's a tie. If I remember correctly.
Well, they no, that's not what they did.
I must be misremembering that. Sorry.
In Class B, Class B, they gathered a lot of class point to have let's say what did they do? Yeah, they gathered class point to be able to basically void the person that was going to get expelled.
Oh yeah, I must be misremembering things. I do know that like for class
for
Class C, the dictator dude, like I think Anna Koji pulled like some shenanigans as well to keep him around.
Yeah, and well, that was basically it. I mean, the Class B was missing some point to buy that super expensive protection from being expelled, and they literally Ayana Koji went to see some people in Class C that wanted to protect Yuen, the dictator, from being expelled.
Yeah, well, because they kind of need him, right? Because much as he's kind of a flawed character, you listen, he is actually like fairly competent as well. Like he is actually like fairly competent as well.
Yeah, well, that's why Ayana Koji wanted to keep him inside the school, and so he convinced some of the students in Class C to that inherited Ryuen's point because they thought that Ryuen was going to move out, so they gathered all of his point, and then they used those point to give those point to Class B, so that Class B could buy their expulsion, get out of jail free card, basically. And the other mechanic of that test is that all of the other class, they had to vote in favor to saving one of another student in another class. So what Class B did is all of them voted for Ryuen to be kept in the school. So when the result came out, Ryuen was on top, so he got the immunity, and some other girl she got the expulsion. And no one was expecting that because in Class C, no one really wanted. There's a few that wanted Ryuen to stay, but
most of them want him out
after what he did. But the rest they didn't want him to stay. So yeah, it came as a surprise because Class B, everyone voted for Ryuen. And what happened is that in Class D, the Haruyuki, the stupid guy, the stupid stooge that
he's a puppet, bro. He gets fucking puppeteered.
He got he tried to raise all the class against the main character, but what Sakayanagi had in mind was not actually to save him, but was to make him fall. So some of the people in Class A all voted for Ayana Koji. So no one in Class A expected Ayana Koji to come on top because they expected most of Class D to vote against him, but eventually some of them might have voted for him, and plus the Class A that voted for him. So he got the immunity, and Haruyuki, because he was basically I think it came out at the end that he was being used by Class A, so that everyone that believed they should get rid of Ayana Koji typically saw that they were being used because he was being used, so they kind of not believed them anymore. And some of them just voted against Haruyuki, so that's why he kind of left. But that all comes to what we were talking about, the chain. So he was definitely the weakest link, and they got rid of them. It created drama because everyone didn't want anyone to be exposed from
I mean,
class.
here's the thing: if he fell for something that simple, how do you think he's gonna do in like real life? Because there are people who are gonna try and fuck you over, right? And what is the lesson there, right? Is that don't always fall for it, because there are some dishonest actors out there, and you have to be your guard up, like be careful, because wolves in sheep's clothing, bro. Like it is what it is. It's and as far as
I haven't read that part.
Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, but as far as Haruyuki's concerned, if he could, if he falls for that in high school, how is he going to do that in the real world?
Yeah, that guy probably would mature along the way, but he's definitely not elite material. So him getting cut out was perfect sense. And
he did. I mean, listen, he did. I mean, he almost made it first year. That's nothing, right? But he just didn't make the cut. It is what it is.
Yeah, but also I'm not sure how it's written in the novel, that part. I haven't reached that yet.
It's fucking soul crushing. He's just like, oh fuck.
But in the anime, it's like the reaction from everyone in Class D is as if he was sentenced to death. Like he's just leaving a school that has higher opportunity. It's not like your life is forfeit. You're just going to a regular school. So it's it was kind of
what you don't
funny
get was the principal waits outside. Listen, they got to keep everything secret, right? So after he leaves, he gets assassinated. So they keep everything secret.
What?
Joking, I'm joking.
No,
allowed. Click.
Yeah, it's classroom of the it's classroom of the elite, not assassination class.
Oh, you don't know. Maybe the third year, it's like psycho love comedy. Once you get up to the third year, you'll train to be an elite assassin. I'm just imagining Anna Koji wearing Assassin's Creed robes. It's nothing personal Templar and
Well, Anna Koji is John Wick material, so.
Oh yes, yeah. That's what he's gonna This is after Classroom the Elite, right? He's gonna become a fucking assassin. He's gonna become Japan's John Wick.
Yeah, and we haven't touched on really Ayana Koji yet, but I think one of the segue to it would be to talk about a bit of the discrepancy with the anime and the novel, and mainly the fact that I totally get why they did that in the anime. I'm not really on board with it, but
I think in the anime they display him as more sinister than he actually is, because in the novels,
they made it more dramatic.
Yeah, they made it more dramatic. Now, for Anna Koji, before we continue, would it be safe to assume, would it be safe to say that he's kind of a sociopath?
Well, in the anime, yeah, totally.
However, in the novel, they kind of, in the novel, and especially later on, because I've kind of peeked ahead a little bit, the second year stuff, they kind of put that in the question as well. Is he exactly I mean, because in the anime, you could write him off as a complete sociopath, and they definitely I think they make him seem more sinister than he actually is in the anime. In the novels, he's a bit of a sinister character, yes, and he kind of doesn't care. But as you go on, they kind further on, they do kind of throw that a little bit into question. Maybe there's maybe a few people he kind of cares about. He doesn't want to give that away because he's in some pretty he's in a pretty bad situation himself. Any kind of weakness could be used against him. Would that be a fair assessment? Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah, and it's mainly if we go into his background story.
It makes a lot of sense why he's like that. And what's interesting about it, right, is even though he has these I'm not going to say he's a sociopath, let's just say he's got tendencies, he's on the spectrum, right?
Yeah.
He's kind of on the spectrum there. It actually makes sense. What's interesting about Anna Koji, right, is even though he's kind of a villain. He's kind of like a villain if you think about it, right? But the thing is that they make him so sympathetic, and you can kind of understand why he acts the way he acts, and he's not evil for the sake. He's not doing these things for the sake of I just want to watch the world burn or fuck with people because I can, lol. He's not doing it for that, right? He has to do these things because if he doesn't, he's gonna get fucked. He kind of has to play. He kind of has to play the game because everyone around him is also playing the game. It just happens that he's just much better at it.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, it's just that while everyone is there for like greater opportunity in life, like he's not. Like
No, and in fact, it's all,
he
like
come,
yeah, I mean, what's interesting about him, right, is that like he wants freedom, like he wants freedom from his
yeah,
overbearing dad and all this like other crazy shit. And when you see his struggle, what he's fighting against, you can't like help but sympathize, right? I kind of think like he's kind of reluctant in the way he's turned out, right? Like he's almost like a reluctant sociopath. If you think about it.
yeah, exactly. Because yeah, we talked about the school being a social experiment, and it is in a sense, but the other social experiment is the one that the main character, Ayano Koji's dad, is doing. So basically, the guy is a super wealthy entrepreneur, and he built an organization that it's called the White Room, and reason why is because it's basically a classroom for like orphans and like people that they
Yeah,
child that they
people who've been
gather.
thrown away, basically.
And yeah, and like from the very early age, like 3 or 4 years old, they are basically attending a class where the walls, the ceiling, the floor,
All white.
the desk, the chairs, like the board, everything is white. Even like they are in kind of
White robes too.
hospital, yeah, hospital robe, all white. So it's devoid of any color, any distraction. And basically, they day in day out they learn stuff, and they are into like if you thought that Japanese education was rough and there was a lot of expectation. Well, that
Yeah, the
the
white
White
room's
Room
like hold
is
my the
way
white room's like
worse.
the white room's like, hey, hold my beer, kid.
Yeah, it's like really horrible. They show you kids that are basically like kids, like 7 years old, that are having heart attack because of the pressure and stress. Like
Yeah, and also they're not allowed to
this
be kids.
should
Like
not
they're not allowed to
happen.
be kids. Like it's like it's
Yeah.
like yeah. I mean, I've read some stuff about like like child soldiers or people who've been like been some very traumatic shit. Like just to list some like famous examples, like William the Conqueror. Like at age 7, he saw people get like murdered in front of him. Like dude getting his like throat slit in front of him, right? And like just being controlled by like a mafioso state. What's that person? What do you think he's gonna grow up to be when he becomes an adult or something like that? I'm just gonna tell you, a very brutal
Mm,
one. And like
mm,
the White Album, like the White Room is very similar to that. Like they take these kids and mold them into like something else, and it's like they're not allowed to be kids anymore. And you understand quite clearly why Anakoji is like this, because he's never really had a choice in the matter, and you can see why freedom is kind of important to him, like his own personal freedom. I mean, he's kind of like if I was to use like a D&D analogy, right? He's kind of like neutral evil. Well, I wouldn't even say neutral evil. He's more
mm.
like true neutral, chaotic neutral.
Yeah, no, it's true neutral because especially like every batch of White Room is an experiment on a different thing. And in his batch, basically no emotion was allowed. So like when you get to school, like there's a reason why he's a bit distant. There's a reason why he does not associate with other students at first. It's because
He was trained
he
to.
never yeah, he was never trained to do that. And for him, everything is new, and he's super scared of doing like a false move. So you see him taking his time, and eventually you see him like getting to like he's learning, like he's definitely learning.
I mean,
And I
I think
think
what's
that
interesting is that, like, as you kind of get, like at the beginning, right, like, he kind of has that kind of sociopathic mindset in a way. Like, everything's a game. Like, it's eat or be eaten. Wrong range step and get like fucked over. Like, he is playing the game, and as you get further on into the show, like further onto the series, like especially the novel, I don't know about like year 2 because I haven't read ahead, but like I'm like judging some of the pictures and seems like that. Like, like yeah, he's kind of like a manipulative puppet master, but there's like some instances in the series, and I think it happens maybe further on. I'll have to double check, right? But some of the people he talks to, he actually is talking to because he wants to, not because like he's like manipulating them for some long con that's like 12 years in the future, right? Like Anakoji is like Pinocchio in a way. Like he's learning how to become a real boy.
yeah, definitely. And
Like
also
I'm not
it's
saying that he shouldn't be jaded or cynical, right? Because there are people who will fuck you over. whatever, and you have to be on guard on that,
Mm.
right? But I kind of feel like Anakoji, as the series goes on, it's like, yeah, he's playing the game right, but as things goes on,
Yeah, and
he isn't like fully devoted to the game, like he can hang out with these people and have fun, he doesn't have to play like Machiavelli, Prince, I'm gonna manipulate chess master, I'm manipulating people in advance for like a plan that's going to kick off in 20 years, like he doesn't have to live his life that way.
no, and like what we were talking about earlier, it's the fact that he fled from the White Room, and he fled to that school because in that school, once you're in, you're basically not allowed to contact the outside, and the school basically will protect him from the outside. So
Yeah,
he's
and,
there
and,
to
and that's actually really
flee
smart.
from his
Yeah, because
dad.
that's really smart of Anakoji. Because here's the thing: what the school gives him is gives him time, but also like allies too. Because what he needs is
Yeah,
friends.
yeah, and well, that's the thing. He like you see him like especially in the later volume and like season 2 is he's beginning to form a group of friends that he really enjoy spending time with.
Yeah, I mean, I think at first,
And
right? I mean, I think at first it was a bit like manipulation. I mean, I think at first it was a little bit like manipulation shown on his part. But like as things goes on, the line becomes really blurry. But like here's the
yeah,
thing: he can't be like open with these people because they can just be they can be used as tools against him. Like
yeah,
he's dealing with some very ruthless people, right? Like he has to kind of play the game to protect. Like he kind of has to play the game to protect himself and them because it's like even if say like his father or his minions can't hurt Anakoji directly, they can hurt him because they can use his friends as like as tools to fuck him over. And I think that's kind of like a fear with Anakoji because what Anakoji's doing that school for is he's buying himself time. He's buying himself time, but also like he needs friends or allies or people who are going to stand up to him because if he's going to have to take on his dad, like as talented of an individual as Anakoji is, he's going to be fucked if he has no one who's got his back. He's going to be fucked without, if he doesn't have a homie or someone who's got his back, he's fucked.
yeah. And like a good thing, I think it's a good difference between like the novel and the anime. Like in the novel, you really believe that he's gaining time because everything he does, like you have the introspection, so you kind of see his thought process, and every time he makes a big
it's very
move,
logical and rational too. It's very
yeah,
logical, rational, but I think what's interesting about it, right? Like in the novel, right, they kind of portray him as like the sinister villain, right? But in the he's almost like this unstoppable machine, right? Like in the anime, they portray him as almost like he's the stoic, unfeeling machine, right? He's just the Ubermensch. But like in the novel, like he is actually like generally afraid and scared, like yeah, like his dad is utterly ruthless, and the people that work for him are utterly ruthless, and like you can feel the fear that Anakoji is that like like this is a whole fucking ball game for him. Like he can't just manipulate and puppet master his way out of this one because like he's playing people who are good at the game as well.
And that's what I was getting to is because in the anime, like you don't get those part about his introspection, what he's thinking, and they do cut a lot of stuff just to get to the main point. So in the anime, Ayano Koji kind of feels more like a sociopath because you see more of his manipulative side, and you kind of feel like every situation is perfectly falling into his lap. Whereas in the novel, you see him set up those situations. Like he's taking the time to set up stuff to go his way, and it's not like he's purely manipulating people.
Yeah, and also like here's the thing: not everything always goes his way.
Yeah. But in the anime, it's like he's the perfect isekai protagonist in a sense.
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah,
everything goes his way.
He's got manipulation, charisma, EX. Like in the anime, he's just got manipulation and like charisma, EX, right? Like like listen. Oh, you thought that you thought you were planning. Well, actually, I'm the one behind it all because I planted that seed in your head, buddy. And I'm like 20 steps ahead of you. No, in the light novel, like some things don't go to plan. But what makes like what's the thing about Anakoji, right? Is that he's adaptable. Right, he's like, okay, right, this isn't going exactly to plan, but I can recover from this. In the anime, you think like, yeah, he's the grand puppet master in the novel. Yeah, he's a puppet master. What makes him a great puppet master, right, is that he's very observant and he's adaptable and flexible.
Yeah, and I think in the last few episodes, you have like the replacement for the director that is basically the flunky of his dad
Yeah.
that tells him that for the next year, he's gonna select like someone from the next batch of the White Room to come to school and take him down. And basically, that next batch is like they're basically trained to do is social interaction and like more of a like yeah, so they're able to like manipulate and walk through like social interaction a bit better. But the thing is, Ayano Koji like doubts that like anyone can take him down simply because he was the best in his batch of White Room, and his batch was mainly focused on adaptability. So and you see him at the start, like he's really not good with conversing with other people,
No.
and he'll kind of just give just a bit of hint to something to make other people think and act the way he wants, just because he does not want to like specifically tell them, hey, do this, do that. So he'll just give them a fraction of the answer, and the other will pop up the perfect answer, thinking it's all of their merit that they were able to achieve it, while it was Ayano Koji that was just giving them the way to go.
I mean, what Ayano Koji's really good at is like planting the seeds. Like he's almost
Yeah.
like in a way the perfect gardener. Like I mean, I think he's perfect for like the leader of Class D, right? Because he doesn't really have to do anything. He's like the guy behind the throne, right? Like he's totally the type who'd be like the advisor of the king, right?
Yeah, and eventually you see him get better at conversation and interacting with others. And like the White Room killed all of his emotion or never taught him about emotion. So he's kind of experiencing everything. And I think the anime just kind of made him more of the John Wick type that he was obviously trained on every martial art possible.
Yeah, he's a borderline superhuman. You know, the White Room. It's just like, oh yeah, let's teach them martial arts in case they want to get like a career as an assassin too. Like, and they can do everything.
Yeah, and like in I think at 12 years old he was doing like university maths. So yeah, like they fabricated genius. And well, the reason why they taught that batch like martial art is basically to have like a balance between body and mind, more than train like a future assassin. But like they just kind of went overboard with it.
I think Ayano Koji with some more training would make an excellent assassin. I don't know.
Oh yeah, but I don't think it was the purpose of the White Room.
Yeah, I know. I was joking about that, but like Ayano Koji, like if he wanted to get into like the assassin business, he'd be fucking damn good at it. Like
yeah, well, it's good.
It's a good thing he's not like that, like sociopathic. But like I'm just saying, like if he wanted to get in like the assassin or hitman business, he would be pretty hard to beat.
It makes me think of like how John Wick was like trained. So it's
he becomes like Baba Yaga, the Japanese demon.
Yeah, but anyway, like I find Ayano Koji a bit more interesting in like the novel per se, because like he has more personality. The anime is also great. I mean,
I think the voice actor, I think both the English and Japanese voice actor do a good job of like capturing kind of like. I think they do a good job of capturing his personality, but I feel like the novel gives him more personality because, like, internal monologues that help characterize him a bit more, but also like he just has a bit more depth to them, right? He just has a bit more depth to them because I think a buddy of mine kind of said that like a buddy of mine said to me, and I think he's like seen the anime. He's kind of like an edgier version of Hachiman in a way, and I think like the anime doesn't like that. You know, a friend of mine said that, and I kind of have to agree with him as far as like the anime is concerned because the anime doesn't really like leave any room for doubt. But as far as like the light novel is concerned, there's a bit more than just say like edgy Hajime.
Yeah, and also like what I don't like that much about the anime is
not Hajime.
I totally get but it's kind of for the first season, I think they might have doubted they would get the green light for a second one, so they all of that explanation about the White Room, like in the novel, it's kind of come up like later, but they kind of made it happen super early in the anime. I think it should have been like somewhere in the season 2, but they put it right in the middle of season 1, and it's mainly, I think, to get people more interested, because at that point there was not, if you remove all of the internal monologue and all the mind game, it's a really straightforward high school series without any like really stakes, really think any exciting. So I like the exciting part comes later, but I think they specifically tried to put in the backstory of Ayana
Yeah, like
Koji
I think
really
the show needs a
early.
hook, right? Because we meet Anna Kojilas, it's like, why the
Yeah,
fuck is he this borderline superhuman?
yeah,
I mean, this is what
and
he's like as a high schooler. Imagine what he's going to be as like an adult, man. Like, Jesus Christ.
and yeah, and there's also at the end of season 1, like when he has a conversation with Olikita, one of the girl in class D, basically because he wants to keep a low profile, he makes all of his achievement her achievement. So when she finds out that he's been manipulating her all the way, she kind of confronts him toward that, and basically his answer is, oh well, you complained that you didn't have any friends, so I kind of make it so that everyone finds you like super bright and warms up to you a bit more, so that you're not alone. And basically she kind of sees that as him declaring that she's a friend, and then the anime goes super dark, and
Yes.
in his head he's like, oh, you're mistaking, I'm not your friend. I'm not like Kushida's friend. I'm not Hirata's friend. Like, I'm on no one's side. I'm here to
Yeah, I found
win.
it. I've got the
And
quote here. I've never once thought of you as an ally. Not you, not Kushiba, not Hirata. All humans are nothing but tools. It doesn't matter how it's done. It doesn't matter what needs to be sacrificed. In a ruthless world, winning is everything. As long as I win in the end, that's all that matters.
yeah, and if I remember in the novel, it was roughly the same thing, but it was a bit before the end of that specific novel, and it was not like the cliffhanger at the end.
I mean, even in the anime, how
And
they
the,
stylize it, like he's just got a blank expression. There's like kind of a bit of a shadow on his face. It's like I'm the sinister mastermind.
yeah,
You know, 20. You know, he's playing 4-dimensional chess with the planets.
yeah, and while he had the same type of dialogue in his head, it felt lots less.
It was a lot less blunt. It's like
Yeah, it was lots less blunt and much less cold. Like it was just a statement that since the White Room was not revealed yet, it was basically just a statement that he's kind of covering his ass, and because the teacher was kind of threatening him with something,
Yeah.
so that's why he kind of stepped up. And yeah, he's just covering himself, like but he make it so that it appears like an act of friendship, but in the anime it really makes it appear him like makes him appear super cold, because they wanted to play on the drama, on the cliffhanger of the end of the
He's
season.
like, oh yeah, he's a master manipulator. Another thing I kind of think about, like Anna Koji, is like, especially his dad. Like, if you look into like the background of his dad's a fucking nobody. Like at the beginning, which I think is also not, like an interesting thing, like, which is kind of which I think is kind of funny, right? Like if you look into his dad's background, like the guy was a complete nobody who became a somebody, right? And I kind of feel like I hope they go more in depth with his dad, because you can say that like his dad's kind of like an evil person or something like that. Like, I mean, he put his fucking son through like, you know, the school through hell and shit like that. But in a way, you gotta wonder, like, with Anna Koji's dad, is he doing this because like he wants his son and other people to have the opportunities he never had?
Yeah, maybe like there's, especially in anime, you have a lot of that, but well, in real life, in certain way, yeah, you have a lot of parents that try to maybe give opportunity, maybe not like throw their children to something they never achieved, but they kind of try to give them opportunity that they never had. And in anime, because anime is a medium about exaggeration, so you exaggerate like emotion, you exaggerate situation. So yeah, it's really an exaggeration of that. Whereas that is probably trying to have Ayano Koji become like a super genius that can like skyrocket into the social world because he had some trouble doing that like when he was younger. So I would totally see it as a possible explanation.
Yeah, like, I think I just think it's kind of interesting, right? I mean, maybe they go more to his backstory, find out that like he's a little bit on the spectrum himself, right? But like, I just think it's kind of interesting, right? Is that like, you know, he was a fucking nobody, like he was just a dude, and now he's like, you know, he's got some political clout now, and I kind of wonder, maybe subconsciously, I mean, he is kind of portraying as the villain, and he kind of is a villain, right? But I kind of wonder if subconsciously he's only doing this because like he wants his son to have what he never had, because you know, if you fucking grow up to be a nobody, if you're growing up and you're a nobody, you want to be someone, you know, like.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm not too clear on at this point is whether his dad is doing this, like forcing his son to be better than he was by throwing him into a really harsh environment. Like, is he doing this specifically for his son in a really clumsy way? Or is he doing that specifically to achieve something, get his name out there and like get a lot of money and return and richness and like fortune and fame out of the project he's built? So I'm really not sure which it is. Like in one case, it really makes him like a total villain. In the other one, it makes him like really more human, but a really clumsy one that kind of went down a path for his future generation, but that did it in a really, really clumsy way. And you can see like specifically the director of the school, Sakayanagi's dad. Like I said earlier, like both are kind of a social experiment. One leaves total freedom to the student to experiment and before they are let loose into modern society, and the other one kind of force the student to into a really harsh environment so that probably the modern society is a breeze when they get to it, but
they're gonna have some issues.
There's probably you can see that there's a method that's better than the
I
other.
think if Anakoji stay in the White Room, like I think with Anakoji, he's one of those people who would like peak like in his adult years, right? But as he gets like middle age or like older, I think he's one of those people who would like stall out, like and then just like stall out. Like if he stayed in the White Room and then went out, was released into the modern world, I think he'll do well for a while. But I think his lack of like someone eventually is gonna pick up on his social manipulation bullshit and all that stuff, and I think he's just gonna stall out.
Well, the thing is, if we talk specifically about that, yeah, probably. And well, I think that probably at the end of the series, he's most likely going to come out of his shadows. Probably everyone will know where he comes from and what his like total ability is. But yeah, like in society, I don't know. Like it's jungle out there, so anything can happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Specifically, since like it's a fictional character, fictional world. Like it's really hard.
I just kind of feel that like if he sat in the White Room, he'd be the type of person who'd do well at first, but I think he would like hit a fucking brick wall, or like there would be like scenarios or situations. I mean, yes, he's very adaptable, but I think there'd be like scenarios or situations he couldn't exactly recover from, and I think there'd be like people who would become wise to like his manipulation stuff as well. Like I think he'll just hit a few areas where he would like fucking stall the fuck out. What I find interesting about like the school itself, right, is it's kind of like, I mean, yeah, it's a bit of a vicious meritocracy, right, but it kind of leaves like it up to the students, right? It's just like, listen, it's up to you whether you pass or fail, you know.
And I think it's also
I mean, they're also like teaching the students like life lessons as well as that, because like with the White Room, they kind of force it upon you, but like with the school, right, it's more like individual. Like, it's kind of like they throw a scenario at you and they're gonna see how you handle yourself. Do you sink or swim?
yeah, and lost my thought process. process on there, but yeah, if there's another thing regarding the adaptation
Yeah,
that
continue.
I know that a lot of people were not fan of that is basically the scene at the end of the second season. I think that all of the season end, they were kind of made to be really dramatic and really up the tension to get excited for the next season. But especially at the end of season 2, is basically in the novel. I think it's during the sport festival or shortly after. You have like leader of class A, Alice Sakayanagi. So she come up to Ayano Koji, and basically she tells him that she knows about the White Room and that he's a fake genius, she is a true genius, and she's gonna take him down. So, and afterward, like you have a bunch of thing where Ayano Koji still needs to deal with Class C, so it kind of goes into kind of set up a situation where Sakayanagi would be more interested in the leader of Class B, Ichinose, so that he's able to like continue his plan of taking down Class C without having the spotlight on him. But in the anime, what they actually did is that they kind of removed that scene from the sport festival, and they just threw it at the end of the season 2, just to get like a really dramatic confrontation at the end of a season and to lead into like the next season afterward. But the thing is that it kind of removes all of the ingenuity that Anakuji did just to get Sakanagi's eyesight out of him, so that she would like not think of him anymore. And that, yeah, I think it bothered a lot of people and kind of bothered me as well, simply because like in the novel you see that Ayano Koji really, he doesn't know why she knows about the White Room. He doesn't know who she is, and like it kind of troubled him for a while, even if he's super bright. Like it's
I
there
mean,
you
listen,
see
you
that
can't comment on shit he doesn't know about or doesn't remember, right?
Yeah.
Like, no matter how smart you are, I mean, you can maybe come up with ideas of, like, who this person is, but, like, some person's just like, oh, I know your deepest, darkest secret, and they tell it to you, it's like, who the fuck is this person? You're going for your head, right? I mean, as smart as he is, he doesn't know everything. Like, he can't comment on something he doesn't know about.
Yeah, and that's basically why he tried to get like attention away from him, because he was not able to deal with like two situations at once. And yeah, and later on, like he gets to know that she's the daughter of the director. So, and director is an old friend of his dad. So like makes sense. But in the anime, it happens after he meets the director. So, and all of the issue with his dad. So he kind of know who she is. So it really appears as if he's in control all the time, whereas into the novel, he has more flaws. That's the thing. In the anime, they kind of remove all of his flaws.
Yes. Yes,
So
that's also
he's
something I noticed.
he's a super character and super perfect genius. Whereas in the anime, not the anime, the light novel, he struggles.
Well, it's kind of like
and
he gets thrown like an old shit, but listen, he's able to pull through because he's adaptable and smart. Like it isn't
Yeah.
just like it isn't like flawless victory Anakoji. No, like he's like, oh shit, like I've got to like he's got to bust his hump. Like listen, if he wasn't as smart or as adaptable as this, he would fail. Like that's what the novel portrays it. He did, like, you know, it doesn't come easy to him. Like he makes it look easy, yes, because he's an incredibly talented individual. But like in the novel, it's just like he gets thrown curveball after curveball, and he just has to roll for punches, and that's what he's good at. That's his talent and strength.
And yeah, there's also another thing that I kind of dislike a bit more in the anime is the fact that they kind of merge scene together just to get the point across quicker and being able to move the story along like quicker. And good example of that is in the first season. You remember when he first meet Orikita's brother?
Yeah, I do. Back in a second.
The school president. So yeah, basically, he goes out at night and he sees his friend Olikita being pushed against a wall by a guy he doesn't know. So he kind of just tried to walk into the situation and try to get him to back off. And the first thing Oikira's brother does is he does like a sneak back kick attack. So and Ayana Koji dodged that, and right after he dodged it, like he goes into full exposition mode as to, oh yeah, you dodged my kick, so you must be special. And yeah, I remember that in all of the tests for the people that like the admission test for the first year, there was someone that had like specifically 50 at every single test. So that must be you. And it's kind of really out of character. So yeah, he's the student council president. He might have access to some this undisclosed like information, but that he would like do 2+2, like he does not even know like where he comes from, in which class he is, what is his name. So like it's really far-fetched. And in the novel, what happens is basically that that monologue about him getting like 50 on purpose on every test is basically the teacher that tells that to Olikita to make her aware that there's more than meet the eye with Ayano Koji, and that she should like keep close eye on him. And yeah, so they basically used two scenes together and took one character and gave him like lyrics that were not his own originally and that are a bit out of place. And it's not just that once, like they do that a few times just to save time, basically to get everything scrunch up to
I
finish season one in 12 episodes.
Yeah, I understand why they do that, because time constraints. And also the other thing about like
Yeah.
the novels, right, is that like some of the students, like in terms of their capabilities, some of them actually like outright outclass or equal Anakoji in certain areas as well. So I disagree that he's like this unstoppable ubermensch, like, because in the light novels there's like a few people who have like sussed him out or think like, oh I see, like they don't know the full picture, but they have like, I see, like there are some students that like in terms of certain capabilities outclass Anakoji. I mean, what Anakoji is he's a jack of all trades.
Yeah, well,
Like he isn't like this unstoppable movement, because like in the novel there are people out there that are better at him in certain fields, and he is very aware of that.
Well, he's a jack of all trade, but he's a very advanced jack of all trade. Like if we take the term jack of all trade, is you're like average in everything, but Ayana Koji is above average in everything.
Yeah.
But he's still, there are people in certain aspect that are better than him, but those people will be better in one aspect while being worse in all of the others.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and I kind of think that's what make like Anakoji works as a character, or him doing stuff, is that like some people, like for example the girl from the White Room, he didn't fucking expect he didn't expect that. He's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, yeah, in the novel doesn't expect it. In the anime, it's as if like he knows everything. So he's like, okay, bring it on, bitch. So like
he's got like almost mystical powers, right? Like listen, he sees all and knows all. He's got he's a psychic.
Yeah, and it's not like I've been like bad mouthing the anime since earlier, but like I found it's still a good adaptation, even though I think they tipped on a lot of things, especially in season 2. And understand why they did, time constraint and all, but and just the general feel they wanted to bring forward. But I still think that reading the books are the better experience, just because it gives you this well, first it focused on other character other than Ayana Koji, and it all also gives every character the impression that they're more human because they have flaws.
Yeah, I
They're
mean, like,
not.
for example, like, the dragon dude, the tyrant dude, when they go a little bit into his backstory, can you understand why he became like this? Like, I think he talks about, like, the time when, he killed a snake as a small boy and how it made him feel, right? And you can kind of, like, understand why he's the way he is. Or, like, some of the other characters, like, I forget the chick's name, let me bring her up, but she's, like, super bubbly, and you find out she's, like, a super manipulative bitch.
Which one?
It's, like, Kushida. The girl.
Oh, good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
What's really what I fucking find about her is like in terms of like character design, right? Like you'd never suspect that, right? Like she's very like comfy and bubbly and stuff like that. Like she has a very snug, she's got a very like comfy character design. Let's just say, right? You would never expect that from that type of character, and it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting, right? Like if Anna Koji's like hiding behind like 20 masks, like so are some of the other characters. Like some of these people are hiding behind like masks. Some of them are a bit more sinister than Anna Koji. Which I think what kind of makes it interesting, right?
Yeah, and I haven't read like the novel that covers like season 3, but like in season 2, you like Ayano Koji, when he has like a one-on-one talk with Liuwen after he takes care of Class C, he basically tells him that, oh, don't worry, we took place of Class C, but we're gonna go down to Class D pretty soon because I'm gonna kick out like Kushida out of school, and it never comes back again in season 3. I don't know if they skipped something, but like it's clear that his plan was to get rid of her because he sees her like as a menace to the
a loose cannon.
Yeah, a loose cannon within his class.
I mean, listen, if I was in Anna Koji's, I'd probably make the same choice. Like, she's kind of a loose cannon, right? If she was just like the cutesy wootsy girl, alright, that's fine, we'll keep her around, right? But no, she's kind of jealous and petty, and like, she's just a loose cannon. Like, you don't know what she's gonna do.
Yeah, and for the test we talked about earlier, that they exposed one of the students, I was sure that he was gonna make some stuff happen in the background to get rid of her, but nothing, not even a mention. So that's kind of surprised me. So I'm not sure if in the novel they mentioned that he might have had planned to get rid of her, but it didn't work out. So yeah,
I'm looking at some of the pictures for like season.
There.
I'm looking at some of the pictures for like season, like for year 2. Anna Koji might be cooking. We'll see.
But yeah.
But like a lot of the characters here are quite interesting, and even if some of them kind of like look like archetype stereotypes, there's more than what meets the eye with some of these characters.
Yeah, and it's kind of a shame that the anime only focus on Ayano Koji and maybe like a specific character for maybe a specific story arc, and after that like they move on to another character. Like in the novel you have more exposition for a lot more character, especially like the end of season 2, like that part. Like I haven't read that yet, but I've heard that there's a lot of stuff that they kind of took one volume and made it one episode out of it. So they kind of really skimmed the thing. And like there's one of the girl in Class C, you have a lot more character development with her. Like she asked Anna Koji for a rematch because she lost to him like earlier. So like she asked for a rematch. So you have like a bit of more of a discussion on her character and why it's important to her and all. And I understand she's not the most important character, but like in the anime, it kind of totally they totally skip that. Like she's not as important, and it goes the same for like a lot of the other characters that you have a bit more exposition in the novel, but not in
like
the
in
anime.
The anime they
because...
kind of like breeze through them. It's just like, oh, they're kind of there.
Yeah.
Like in the novel, it's like, oh, we're gonna dedicate a chapter or two to some of these characters every now and then, and kind of like, oh, what are they up to? Like, is it like it's like the novel? It's mostly Anna Koji in the novel, but they do focus on some of the other characters.
Yeah, and that's what I like about the book, and that I would have liked that they took their time with the anime and kind of like pace it up a bit more. Like I really don't know how they would have made 12 episodes just from the stuff before the arc on the boat, because I would have seen the entirety of the trip on the boat being a single season. Like volume 3 and 4 should have been.
Yeah, I mean, the boat had some pretty crazy shit, like, before and
Yeah,
after.
it should have been like an entire season, just those two story arc, but they kind of cram like the first part at the end of season 1, and then they kind of hurried over the other part in season 2, but it's kind of where you have a lot of development, and you kind of understand a lot more about the characters, but like it's all so rushed in the anime. But then again, yeah, I don't know how they could have stretched the first 2 volumes to get into 12 episodes.
Well, they found a way.
Yeah, but also they would have needed to get some pretty mundane stuff interesting to get like a second season approved, and yeah, it would have ended without a real cliffhanger. So yeah, they probably could have just invented something new. I think they did. In first season, you have something that's not in the novel. It's basically a beach episode. Like I really like that one.
Episode.
Yeah, but that one was clever. It was well written.
Yes.
Because like they could have made more of that, because not necessarily beach episode, but that's specifically the thing that's missing throughout the anime, and in that single episode they made it work. They focused on the other character. Like they took basically the Three Stooges want to go peep on the girl changing in the locker, and they kind of rope Ayano Koji into that, and basically like the episode really focused on those Stooges, the relationship that Ayano Koji has with them, and also it kind of shows that Ayano Koji will kind of fall onto Orikita to help him out when there are things that he's not able to. Like it's before he's kind of shown as a super genius, but right there you kind of see that he's not able to do everything, because he can't simply like walk into the girl's locker while every girl are changing and ensure that the camera that the other guys hid are like removed. So basically he asked Orikita to police that, and yeah, so without the other people, the other stooge knowing, like Orikita is with them, but she's kind of avoiding them being caught and or filming altogether. But it's kind of, you see Ayano Koji as this double agent that's working on two sides at once.
Yes.
And that he actually need people around him to make stuff works. And yeah, that's what I like about that episode. And they could have did original episode just to highlight that fact, to give more exposition to other character, because it's exactly in this episode that you see a bit more of the other class, because outside of that, unless they have an interaction with Class D, you don't see them. You don't really know who they are, and in the novel you have a bit more exposition from different characters, so they could have made it work, like you said. Could have popped out original stuff and give enough incentive to be excited about the next season, and then you pop the entirety of volume 3 and 4, the big trip, and you get really full on all of the psychological thing that's going on, all of the mind games and all of the character development. There are some really important and interesting one in there, so they could have really made something really interesting, and yeah, but they didn't.
Yeah, as you do. All right. It's getting late where I am, and it's kind of getting late.
Yeah.
Well, not exactly late, but it's getting around dinner time where I am right now, and I've got other stuff to do. Yeah, I just want to say for the anime, the second season opening, Dance in the Game, is a fucking banger.
Oh yeah, but the third one, I found the third one even better. The Dance in the Game, Dance in the Game. This one plays on my phone all the time. I really like that song. And even if you look at the opening with all the visual, like there's a lot visually speaking.
Yeah, there's a lot fucking going
To
on.
like yeah, and it's really really great. But the next one, there are thing that was, oh my god, like the song is great. I think it's by the same artist as the second opening, and just the visual, like it's all about games, and you see him like walking on dominoes, like
Yeah.
like you know that dominoes can fall out of control, so like he's tight roping on dominoes, so like he's being super
I
careful
mean, he kind
about
of is now,
where he's
right?
going.
Like Anakoji is always on tightrope, always walking on
Yeah,
tightrope.
and like the rest of the visual, like he comes across like a mountain of dice. It's basically endless probabilities, but you know that he's going to surpass that mountain.
Yeah.
And I think that the moment that really made my jaw drop in that opening is when he you basically see him with his finger on his temple, like as if he was pulling a gun, and the camera like close up on his face, and as it close up is as if the camera comes from down below and to right, or yeah, it kind of shift in a way to be like he's kind of more dominating the situation, the way that the camera is framed.
Yeah.
And when his finger pulls the trigger, you see like his silhouette fade into that of a pawn, a chess pawn, and the chess pawn is the one that explodes from the gun triggers. And after that, you see Sakayanagi that is on a chessboard, seated on the queen. I think it was a white queen, and then she kind of signal Ayana Koji to come to him. And you have on the other side of the board Ayana Koji that is just resting on the king, and he's just loosening up his tie and walking forward. Like it's like, you want a confrontation, I'll give you one. And it's as if he was like playing the pawn because he didn't want the attention, and now he's like, okay, you want me, you'll get me. The king is coming to you. It's checkmate. And it's kind of foreshadowing like the chess game they have together.
Oh
like,
yeah, that chess game.
there's a lot going on in that. Yeah, like that opening was really great visually. A lot of things that were foreshadowing, a lot of visual effect that was the just him changing from a pawn to the king. Like this is super great. I really like the imagery there. So yeah, definitely. First opening was really boring.
Yeah.
Didn't have anything going on.
Dance
But the
Game is
second
very
and third
fun.
one,
I'll have those
that
third
one
opening after this
also.
cast. But we've been going for almost like 2 hours. I think it's a good time to like.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
we've been going for like an hour and 30 minutes. Like, yeah, we're almost reaching the 2 hour mark in a bit. I think we should probably wrap this up. But like, yeah, I think Classroom Elite is definitely like an interesting read. Like, especially if you're getting bored of like the kind of generic like high school drama shit, like this is definitely like something different. And also like some of the stuff that happens in the show, like especially the lessons they give the students, you know, like I think they're kind of valuable lessons to learn as well. Like especially for today's youth, you know, like being financial with money. You know, not everyone is exactly, you know, not everyone is what they seem. You know, I think these are kind of valuable lessons, and I think I think the novel is also kind of like teaching you some stuff as well. You know, like just be fucking careful.
Yeah, and for those that watched the first season that didn't like it, give a chance to the second and third one. It gets better. The
Yeah, it
direction
definitely
is
gets
a bit
better.
better. Yeah, and like the tension gets higher, so it's a bit more interesting. But yeah, definitely if you like reading, I would recommend the book. But if not, the anime will do it, even though they kind of cut here and there. It's still a good,
The anime gives you like a
enjoyable.
basic idea. Like the anime does a good job of giving you like the
Yeah.
basic gist, but like if you want more depth, read the novel.
It's still enjoyable. Like unlike other adaptation that I really straight up didn't like it was a bit botched. Like this one is, they cut the corner, but it's still enjoyable. It's still good.
All right. So how would you rate like Classroom Elite from what you've read so far? Because I'm thinking like maybe a 6 or 7 out of 10. Like I think it's a very solid like I like the kind of psychological stuff and some of the dark psychology shit the show dives into, like the series dives into. I kind of like that. I like the mind game, and I like how like
Yeah,
most of the things like makes logical sense, like not just like logically wise, but internally as well. Like I'd give this like a solid 6, maybe 7 out of 10. Like I think it's like it's very entertaining.
for me, I would give it a solid 7.
Well, I hope everyone here enjoyed like the discussion. I know we didn't talk about like everything. We kind of rambled for a bit, but like like Classroom Elite, I think it's definitely worth checking out or at least reading. If you like kind of like psychological mind game stuff. Like it's like imagine Kira from Death Note. It feels like in a high school, right? And it was like playing mind games with people. Like it's very like actually yeah. If you like Death Note, I think you'll like Classroom Elite because it definitely has that kind of like mind game shenanigan shit and like mind game shenanigan shit going on.
Yeah, and yeah, we didn't talk about Kei Karuizawa, but
Maybe next time.
that would be like another 2-hour discussion. So
Yeah.
let's do that for another time.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh fuck. Oh yeah, the fucking the second year student dude who's like the oh god, like I think his name is Nagito or something, or Nagi. I forget his name, but I think it starts with an N. Like that dude, like holy shit, man! It's like yeah.
I'm not there yet, so
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know.
You're not there yet. All right. All right. Thanks. Thank you for listening. See you guys later. Bye bye for now. Say goodbye, John Luke.
Okay, bye bye.